I've been around for a while. I've met some interesting people. Done some crazy things. So you'd think that there wasn't much that could take me by surprise. You'd be wrong. The world is full of stories and science and things that amaze and confound me every single day. Incredible mysteries that keep me awake at night. Some I can answer, and others just defy logic. Yeah, it's a weird world, and I love it. Frightening, isn't it? There's an actual X-ray of construction worker Patrick Lawler. He went to the dentist complaining of toothache. Instead, he found a 4-inch nail embedded in his skull from his nail gun. It's amazing what you can find inside people. Here's another, a cell phone hidden inside an inmate. How did he get my phone number? And this one, a man who accidentally swallowed some scissors while using them as a toothpick. And, here's one of mine. Well, never mind. Despite being bizarre, all of these things are easily explainable, except this one. This was found inside another man. A man who has no idea what it is or how it got there, or even if it came from Earth. Yuma County, Colorado, 1998. Cement contractor Tim Cullen is on a routine job when he suffers an injury.
I was doing some work for a farmer early in the summertime, and I hit my thumb with a hammer, melted it pretty good. My wife, she's a nurse. She said, well, you might as well go, why don't you go to the doctor and get it looked at.
Tim's thumb turns out to be fine, but the doctor who examines him finds something else, something he can't explain.
The doctor took an X-ray, and he said, you have something in your arm? And I said, no. He said, you got any idea where it come from?
Tim is baffled by the news.
The object in the X-ray is kind of a bright triangle in the X-ray. Real bright, right next to my wrist bone. It was kind of interesting to know that something got in my body. I really didn't know anything about it.
The doctor decides to operate, but during the surgery, something extraordinary happens.
They were doing the surgery, and I got to watch it as the doctor got ready to remove the object. It seemed to move away from the forceps that he was going to remove the object with. Like the object sensed that it was going to be removed. They finally got a hold of it, and that's when my arm really got to hurt, and got it drawn up near the surface, took it loose.
As the doctor examines the object, he realizes why it reacted strangely. Inside the membrane is a core of metal. There are also proprioceptors, wire-like appendages that seem to be connected to nerve endings leading to his hand.
There was no anti-rejection structures around the whole object at all. The body doesn't even know it's there. I mean, it's metal, and nothing more foreign to the body than metal.
At first, Tim makes a steady recovery, but his health suddenly begins to decline.
My mental ability started sliding downhill. My ability to concentrate and to stay awake went downhill really rapidly. It's just like I dropped my wheel. I feel like instead of being a 60-year-old man, I have to take a nap like an 80, 85-year-old man.
Certain his health issues are connected to the object. Tim searches his memory for clues. Then it hits him, a mysterious incident 20 years earlier that made no sense at all, until now.
We were coming back one night. It was evening, late night, probably 11 o'clock or so. Coming up Highway 59, and we encountered this craft in front of us. Looked like it was about 100 foot long. It looked like a cigar. There were some lights on it.
Tim stops for a better view. Whatever it is, moves like nothing on Earth.
It crossed the road, crossed over the fence and under the telephone lines. And the next thing you know, bingo, it's kind of by the car, and it's back up here. And my wife and I sat there, and 2 lights came on. They were really bright, because like I said, my peripheral vision was kind of gone.
Time seems to stand still for Tim and his wife.
After the lights came on, And my wife and I were sitting there in the car for what I perceive is 4 or 5 minutes. It was a mind-bending experience for me at the time. We sat there wondering what to do, thinking about it, and then I looked at the wife and said, let's go.
When they arrive home, they discover they've been gone not for minutes, but hours. Tim can't account for the lost time. There is one thing Tim is sure of. He was taken on board an alien spaceship and implanted with the mental object. Why?
The aliens want to interfere with my thought processes for some reason. It's a form of mind control. We're not the only intelligent mortal life form in this universe. It makes me wonder why me? And I truly do. I'll never get over it.
This is weird. Or what? A guy doing some simple DIY ends up finding this thing inside him. Can Tim Cullen be right? Was this device created by an extraterrestrial, then implanted in his arm during an alien abduction and used somehow to control his mind? It's an incredible concept, isn't it? But I have an even more important question. When will he be on sale at Radio Shack?
What happened to Tim Cullen? Did an alien life form implant a device inside him to control his mind? Ex-police officer Daryl Sims is known as the Alien Hunter. He counsels people who claim they've been abducted by extraterrestrials.
Our abductees range from everything from housewives, husbands, they work, hardworking people. We've got 3 NASA scientists that are abductees, one of them with implants.
He's convinced Tim's UFO experience was not only real, it wasn't his first.
He's a typical individual that had no clue what was going on. I suspect his event started very much younger in his life.
But why did Tim have no memory what happened?
Once the encounter takes place, they leave on the individual what is called a screen memory. This is often the true false memory syndrome. They leave an imagery and thoughts and feelings with you. The majority of them are not pleasant experiences.
Despite this, Tim knew something inexplicable was happening to his body and his mind.
For the first 20 years when I had the implant in my body, I believe I was smarter. My mental function was greatly enhanced. I believe the implant was there to mentally stimulate me.
The implant was affecting his neurotransmitters, chemicals that regulate mood, behavior, and other critical functions in the brain.
Abductees often feel, why am I having these feelings? Their levels of serotonin and dopamine being altered, as one a psychologist told me, he says, anyone that can do that to you, I don't care who it is, they own you. They own your emotions, they own everything about you.
Sim says implants don't just change the way the brain works, they actually record what it's doing.
They're there to do a job, and one of the things they're to do is to collect huge amounts of information, particularly emotions. Enormous amounts of emotions, a huge wide variety and span of emotions, and to collect them and to bring them back.
But why would aliens implant these devices in humans?
That's the $64,000 question. Everybody's focusing on the wrong thing. That's what bothers me. I've come from an intelligence background. The whole thing's an intelligence problem. It always has been.
Did aliens try to control Timothy Cullen? Or is the true explanation more down to earth? A mysterious object is found in a man's arm. Was it inserted by extraterrestrials in order to control him? Dr. Michael Shermer is the publisher of Skeptic magazine. He spent 30 years investigating alien stories.
The Tim Cullen story has been around for a long time in UFO lore. He's one of the handful that they hold up as somebody who came to the realization that he was abducted decades after the event happened. So this is in one of 2 categories of alien abduction stories. Those who remember it immediately, and they describe that they were asleep at night and so on, and those that remembered it decades later, triggered by perhaps regression analysis or just talking to other UFO abductees, and you get the idea going, like, hey, maybe this happened to me, and then you, in your mind, reconstruct it. So he's one of the latter. Yes, you hear about these implants with alleged microcircuitry and things like that. I've never seen one. I've never seen a published article about this. I've never heard of a scientist examining anything like that. Of all the implants that have been tested, that I've seen, rigorously tested, they've all concluded that these were natural earthbound artifacts. Shrapnel, piece of metal, splinter, that kind of thing. Not any kind of extraterrestrial.
Dr. Shermer saw nothing to suggest the object was controlling his brain.
Seeing the video of the surgeon removing it, it didn't look like that at all to me. It looked like it was actually quite loose in there, because as he was poking the tongs in there to grab it, it was moving around. It didn't look connected to any nerves at all.
But what about the strange membrane the doctor found?
We do know that something that's been in the body for a long time gets coated by the body. It's a way of protecting itself. That may look metal when you see it, but it's just actually some other organic material. And I suspect that's all it is.
Was Tim making it all up? Not necessarily. Dr. Shermer's sure Tim had some kind of traumatic experience, but pop culture made him blame it on ETs. Colin Ross is a psychiatrist specializing in severe mental trauma. He agrees something was trying to control Tim Cullen, but it wasn't aliens.
I get contacted quite regularly by email and mail by people who absolutely firmly believe that they're being monitored and controlled remotely by the CIA, the military, or the government. They'll describe how they were involved in the military, how they had a security clearance, they got in some sort of beef with some other person, and then it all started.
But how could the government control someone's brain?
It's a known fact that from the documents, and this is going back 40, 50 years now, that you can control somebody's behavior remotely by activating an electrode that's in their brain. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a medical proven fact.
Dr. Ross says the origins of mind control technology began from a desire to tap the skills of German scientists smuggled into the U.S. after World War II.
Operation Paperclip is one of a series of projects that was created by the CIA after the Second World War. And it was to get control of the German scientists. So the U.S. government wanted to bring a lot of expertise over to the United States. Rocket engineers, ball bearing manufacturers, film, whatever it might be, and brought them into the United States for use in research.
One of them, Dr. Werner von Braun, helped the Americans take the lead in the space race. Did another German scientist give the U.S. the edge in mind control? Dr. Ross thinks so, and that the U.S. is still using the technology.
I'm quite confident that there must be military and CIA implanted chips in people around the world for various purposes.
But why would the U.S. government want to control people's minds? Simple. To achieve global domination by turning ordinary people into fearless assassins, activated by remote control.
The way you control the behavior is kind of twofold. The electrode can actually activate part of your brain, or you can hypnotically condition a person. So the idea is you condition the person to have this new identity inside who's hidden behind an amnesia barrier. You call them out with a hypnotic code, give them the assignment. They go back inside, they carry out the assignment. If the out front person is captured and interrogated, has no information, no memory of it whatsoever. And there's documents going back into the 50s that this was actually done and used operationally by the military and the CIA, actually going back to the Second World War. The way I got into all that was I started hearing stories from patients in treatment that they had been programmed and conditioned by the CIA or the military. I thought, a little fantastic sounding, and decided to look into it.
Was Timothy Cullen being groomed as a covert government assassin? Are aliens trying to control his brain? Or did he just imagine the whole thing? Whatever the truth, it's weird. Or what?